Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Mr. Singleton, you had something that you highlighted. I thought it was extremely succinct in your introduction, that the Chinese Communist Party leader Xi Jinping talking about that the, quote, main battlefield is this innovation of technology. And then, Mr. Doshi, you talked about you highlighted yet again that as the United States is at 15% of global manufacturing, that China is at 35%. You said I heard another statistic a minute ago, so it was 30, so somewhere between 30 and 35%. I really want to just move to the president has implemented this tariff. And you all are talking about, you've got some strong specifics, Mr. Singleton, where you talked about breaking that down and even more targeted things, sanctions, banning. I want to give you some time to build upon what the president is doing. We all look at things that, whether it's a tie or whether it's a coffee mug, and we're all shocked, made in China. And the president, knowing that economic strength is our national security, is trying to do a lot of things right now on the international front to change this. In addition to what Mr. Pillsbury talked about, which I think is just genius of Russ Vought at OMB, hopefully picking up that banner again and saying, what are we doing to help them, as if they have a $2 trillion gross domestic product, which they were, I guess, 20 and 30 years ago. And now they're clipping at 20 trillion gross domestic product, which somebody said is now 70% relative to our 29 trillion gross domestic product. And they're the highest GDP relative to the United States and the world, but we've empowered them because of all these goods that we're consuming. So how can we, I'll open this up to anybody, how can we take what the president is seeing clearly, tariffs and sanctions, and there will be a cost, but because of the danger, when he's saying this is the battlefield, he wants to play this game, he wants to take our technology, he wants to have the ability through Salt Typhoon, Volt Typhoon, bring our electric grid down, bring our water systems down, military installation, ownership of farmland. How can we build public sentiment to bolster our president for the American populace to say we may have to pay a price because this is a real threat? Whoever wants to take that.
I'll start, but welcome others as well. I mean, I think tariffs are really important tools of geopolitical leverage if used correctly. In the case of China, amidst its economic slowdown, tariffs, unlike sanctions, they bite overnight. They cut deep. And right now, China's economy is facing tremendous headwinds, relying almost exclusively on overcapacity and its export model, which makes it ripe for sort of sharp targeted vulnerability in terms of using tariffs. I think we can use tariffs to actually change Chinese behavior beyond its non-market practices. Fentanyl is a great example, and I think the president is employing tariffs in that way as a pressure tactic to achieve changes in Chinese behavior. I think Bill mentioned it best. We need a whole of country sort of approach to this, and part of that is building out different pillars of economic statecraft. Sanctions, outbound investment screening, sectoral export control bans to prevent the flow of these technologies into China's military and its defense sector, and all of the sort of pillars of American economic power working together towards a desired end state, which I hope we would all believe is a change in Chinese behavior.
Can we do something to build upon more targeted tariff percentages? I mean, are there ways to be targeted in the way we're doing reprisal tariffs that could, I mean, this is a gross domestic product that is gained at a rapid pace in the last 20 years ago. No one saw China coming like this 20 years ago. I see a lot of head nodding on the panel.
Congressman, two quick thoughts. First, the administration is rightly considering what are called component tariffs that would make it harder for China to kind of hide rules of, behind rules of origin. This would allow us to go after the fact that Chinese chips might be in something bigger that we buy from another country. It allows us to carve them out of supply chains. The second point, Mr. Chairman, Congressman, is actually a critical one. The Trump administration in the first term had something, an executive order, ICTS executive order. It's a regulatory barrier. It allows us to keep goods out with a regulatory ban on them. That tool should be expanded. That executive order could be codified by Congress. It was something the Biden administration used, and we could keep using it.
Congressman, if I may, I just want to amplify both those comments by saying a little bit different perspective about amplifying the message and the why matters. And I think when you talk about tariffs and economic drivers, I think we have to message the American people why this all matters. Because in our generation, we look at it culturally, the Russians, the Cold War, they were bad. We beat them in 1980 in the Olympics, right? We had the Ayatollah in 1979. The Iranians culturally were bad. We have not had that with the Chinese Communist Party yet. So culturally across our country, and I'll proffer to you in Oklahoma, our constituents don't see China in the same light as we saw Iran and Russia. And I think we have to do a better job, more effective at driving the issues as why this stuff matters.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. I yield.
Gentleman's time expired.